Imagine working at a company owned by a billionaire CEO. One day, without telling anyone, that CEO disguises himself as a poor homeless man and sits outside the entrance of his own building. For 5 days, he watches as hundreds of employees walk past him. Some ignore him, some laugh, some treat him like he doesn't even exist. But one employee does something completely unexpected. And when the CEO finally reveals the truth in front of the entire company, what happens next changes that employee's life forever. Today's story will remind you why kindness is still one of the most powerful things in the world. This story begins in the busy streets of New York City. Among the tall skyscrapers stood the headquarters of a powerful company called Stonebridge Global Holdings. The company employed hundreds of workers and generated millions of dollars in revenue every year. Behind this success was its founder and CEO, Daniel Whitmore. Daniel Whitmore was known as a brilliant businessman, but his journey to success had not been easy. Long before he became wealthy, Daniel had experienced poverty himself. When he was younger, he had struggled to find work. There were nights when he went to bed hungry. There were days when he walked miles because he couldn't afford transportation. And during those difficult years, Daniel noticed something important about people. Some strangers treated him with kindness and respect. Others treated him like he was invisible. Those experiences stayed in his mind even after he built his company and became a billionaire. Because of that, Daniel believed something very strongly. A person's true character is revealed in how they treat people who seem to have nothing. Before we continue this story, let me ask you something. If you saw a poor stranger sitting outside your workplace asking for help, would you stop and help? Or would you walk past without noticing? Let me know your answer in the comments. And if you enjoy powerful stories about kindness and real-life lessons, don't forget to subscribe to Kind Hearts and like this video so you don't miss the next inspiring story. Now let's continue. As the years passed, Stonebridge Global Holdings grew bigger and more successful. But something about the company culture began to worry Daniel. Many employees seemed to respect wealth and status more than kindness. Managers expected respect because of their titles. Employees were friendly with powerful executives, but people like janitors, security guards, and cleaners were often ignored. One afternoon, Daniel stood near the large window in his office and looked down at the street below. Near the entrance of the building, he noticed a homeless man sitting quietly on the sidewalk with a cardboard sign asking for help. Employees walked past him without even looking. Some avoided eye contact, others looked annoyed. Daniel watched for several minutes. Not a single person stopped to ask if the man was okay. In that moment, Daniel had an idea. He wanted to test something. He wanted to know if kindness still existed among the people working in his company. But he knew that employees realized they were being watched by their CEO, they would behave differently. So he created a secret experiment. For 1 week, Daniel Whitmore would disguise himself as a poor man. He would sit outside his own company building and he would observe how employees treated him. Only 3 people knew about the plan: his assistant, the head of security, and the company's lawyer. Everyone else believed Daniel had traveled overseas for business meetings. The following morning, Daniel met with a professional makeup artist. They transformed his appearance completely. His neatly styled hair became messy and unkempt. A rough beard was added to his face. His expensive suit was replaced with old, worn-out clothes. By the time the transformation was finished, the powerful CEO looked like a tired man who had been living on the streets for years. Even Daniel barely recognized himself in the mirror. Then he quietly left the building and walked to the front entrance of his own company. That morning, Daniel sat quietly on the sidewalk outside Stonebridge Global Holdings. Beside him was a small cardboard sign that read, "Hungry, looking for work." Employees began arriving for work. Many wore expensive suits and carried laptops, but as they walked past the tired man sitting near the entrance, something disappointing happened. Most people ignored him completely. Some avoided eye contact. A few dropped coins into his cup without saying a word. But no one stopped to talk to him. Hours passed. Hundreds of employees entered the building, and Daniel sat there quietly, observing everything. Over the next 2 days, the situation remained mostly the same. Some employees looked uncomfortable when they saw him. Others whispered and laughed quietly as they walked past. One man even told him to leave because he made the building look bad. Daniel didn't argue. He simply watched and listened. By the 3rd day, he began to feel disappointed. Had people really become so busy that they no longer cared about others? But on the 4th day, something unexpected happened. A maintenance worker named Michael Carter approached the building. Michael was not one of the highly paid executives. He worked behind the scenes maintaining the building. But when he saw the tired man sitting near the entrance, he stopped walking. He looked at him carefully. Then he asked gently, "Sir, have you eaten today?" Daniel quietly shook his head. Without hesitation, Michael opened his bag and took out his lunch. Inside was a simple sandwich, an apple, and a bottle of water. "You can have this," Michael said kindly. "I'll find something else later." Daniel was surprised. After days of being ignored, someone had treated him with genuine kindness. But what touched him even more was what Michael did next. Instead of walking away immediately, he sat down beside him and started talking. He asked the man where he came from. He asked if he needed help finding a shelter. He treated him like a human being. If you believe the world needs more kindness and compassion, type the word kindness in the comments right now. And if this story is touching your heart so far, don't forget to like this video. Your support helps spread positive stories that remind people to care about one another. Now let's continue. As Michael and Daniel talked, Daniel learned more about his employee. Michael lived simply, supporting his family on a modest income. He didn't complain about his job. Instead, he talked with pride about maintaining the building and making sure everything was safe. As Daniel listened, it seemed that Michael had more wisdom than many of the highly paid executives inside the building. Finally, after sharing his food and speaking for a few minutes, Michael stood up. He patted Daniel on the shoulder and said, "I hope things get better for you soon. Don't give up." Then he walked inside. Daniel watched him go, his heart filled with a mixture of relief and gratitude. In a day when so many people seemed selfish, he had found a true gem of kindness right within his own company. The next day, Michael returned again. This time, he brought something extra, a bowl of warm soup and fresh bread. "I thought you might need something warm," he said. As they sat together, Michael explained something about his past. Years earlier, his family had gone through a difficult time when his father lost his job. Money became tight, and they struggled to buy food. But one day, a stranger helped them by buying groceries. That act of kindness stayed with Michael for years. Since then, he had promised himself that whenever he saw someone struggling, he would try to help. Daniel listened carefully. The small act of kindness he witnessed felt more valuable than any business success. A few days later, every employee at Stonebridge Global Holdings received an email. All staff members were required to attend an important meeting in the main conference hall. Hundreds of employees gathered inside the large room. Many wondered what the meeting was about. Then something strange happened. The doors opened, and the same homeless man who had been sitting outside the building walked into the room. Employees began whispering. Some looked confused, others looked uncomfortable. The man slowly walked onto the stage. Then, in front of everyone, he removed the fake beard from his face. He wiped away the makeup, and suddenly the truth became clear. The homeless man was actually Daniel Whitmore. The entire room fell silent. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Do you think the employee who helped the poor man deserves a reward? Or do you believe kindness should simply be its own reward? Tell me what you think in the comments. Now let's see what happened next. Daniel stepped forward and looked at the employees. "For the past week," he said, "I have been sitting outside this building disguised as a poor man. I wanted to see how people in this company treat someone who appears to have nothing. Many employees lowered their heads. Then Daniel continued, "But during this experiment, one person reminded me what true kindness looks like." He looked toward the audience. "Michael Carter, please come to the stage." Michael slowly walked forward, confused and nervous. Daniel shook his hand. "For 5 days," Daniel said, "this man treated me with dignity. He shared his food, he spoke to me with respect, and he helped me when he thought I had nothing to offer him." Then Daniel made an announcement that shocked everyone. Starting that day, Michael would be promoted to a leadership role in the company and receive a major salary increase. The room erupted into applause. Before ending the meeting, Daniel said something the employees would never forget. "Kindness is not about how you treat powerful people," he said. "It is about how you treat people who can do nothing for you." If this story inspired you, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters. And don't forget to subscribe to Kind Hearts for more powerful stories that remind us that even the smallest act of kindness can change someone's life. Because sometimes the person you help today might be the person who changes your future tomorrow.